I recently played with my friends for the first time, and I was having a really great time until they killed me. They killed my character halfway through the campaign, so it was in that moment that I learned that my friends are assholes. So when all of you guys played together as a cast, what's something that the game brought out in a fellow castmate, something you learned about them as a result of playing the game?
All of them are assholes.
Oh, they suck. I mean...
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
I actually do feel like you can learn a lot about people when you play D&D with them. I recently played with my friends for the first time, and I was having a really great time until they killed me. They killed my character halfway through the campaign, so it was in that moment that I learned that my friends are assholes. So when all of you guys played together as a cast, what's something that the game brought out in a fellow castmate, something you learned about them as a result of playing the game?
All of them are assholes.
Oh, they suck. I mean,
they didn't put us against each other, really. It was kind of like the entire cast was pretty much trying to get by according to the laws of the Dungeon Master, really, right?
Did your player's long-lost brother immediately return up with a very similar name to the character you?
I ended up getting to play like in the spirit of another character, but no, don't help them out. They're assholes. And that's why they killed me. Well, I'm going to ask you guys, I'm going to, just to piss off my friends, I'm going to put you on the spot. Since I've been kicked out of my campaign, when you guys do the sequel, can I come to your campaign and play with you guys?
Come on over, man. The more the merrier.
That's
We
awesome.
are spreading the gospel of D&D, so yeah.
Yeah, what kind of character are you anyway? What kind of
so his name was Vesper Reed, and he was actually a bard. So we might have two bards in the movie, but that could be great. You could be like my handsome older brother, and I could be like your younger.
You said handsome.
I don't have to be older. I don't have to be older, pal.
I love that you don't have a problem with the handsome part. That part's fine.
I think it brought out empathy in myself, because the lesson I learned was every time I felt that urge that these guys are trying to mess with me, you learn how to take whatever it is they're doing and judo that into something even more creative.
You know what I learned is that we are all very eclectic. All of us as people, the cast, we are all incredibly...
Go into detail about that.
Our group is an eclectic group.
Yeah, what else?
And our characters are an eclectic group.
And what?
And I think the eclecticity
Fantastic.
of both the real group and the fake group mirror each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but firstly we had you couldn't get a better dungeon master. We had one of the heads of Wizards of the Coast, which is like they're the owners and the gatekeepers of all things Dungeons and Dragons. And what you find is that the game is really dependent on how good your storytelling boss is.
When the long-running D&D joke is that when your character dies, their long-lost brother turns up. If you were called Bass Reeves, you suddenly, like their brother Smash Schmeeves turns up, and they just kind of pick up the pistols. I think that's the spirit of it. It's about nothing can actually get you down in this game. Like, yes, nothing goes to plan, but that's the whole point.
I think it was after our table read, and we'd all gotten there and kind of looked at all the maps and the pictures of what was happening, and we were kind of getting our bearings. So that first game was really more about just, I think, sizing people up and seeing what they were going to bring to bear on the parts. And it goes to what is, I think, sometimes an unheralded part of our business is good casting is really a lot of the equation. And you can try to create chemistry, and the editor can try to cut together chemistry, and the directors can try to engender chemistry, but it's a lot easier if it just happens. And we were really, really lucky that we all happened, to like one another.
As you can see, me and Sophia are very different people. I'm really funny and handsome and talented, and Sophia...
No, finish. I really, really want to know how you're going to finish that.
Equally
Where's this going, Justice?
as handsome and funny and talented in a different way.
Yay.
And the whole point is that you then come up with a new plan. And every time you think that someone's messing with you, they can't, because their plans aren't going to go to plan either. And the joy is just figuring out how you all embrace that chaos together. And that is precisely what I think this cast are a little bit too good at, and that we embrace very well.
But I'm genuinely curious, when we watch this movie and everything that's happening, are we watching someone's campaign play out in front of us? Like, are we to imagine that, like, there are a bunch of guys like around a table playing D&D, and that this story and these characters are the result of the sort of the decisions they're making?
No, I mean, when I talked to John and Jonathan about it, they were very specific that there was no meta aspect to it. These were guys and gals in a world doing their thing.
I mean, that's essentially what John and Jonathan did. I don't think they played it to figure out the story of the movie, but they definitely sat in a room together and mapped out what they were going to do, which is very similar to playing the game.
I think that that's in the water of the movie. I don't think that's explicitly the idea, so it's not like one of those playthrough films where you've adapted from a real campaign, but we've very much taken the energy of multiple campaigns and gone, what were the funniest things that made us feel the way that makes us passionate about Dungeons & Dragons, and how can we put that into a very, very tightly crafted movie?
One of the best compliments I think we've gotten about the film is, whether or not people resonate with the dragons and that whole world, people seem to think, at least that have played the game or other role-playing games, that our film captures the spirit of what it's like to play the game.
Playing the game, you just sit in a room with a bunch of friends and make each other laugh and commit to telling a story for hours.
Yeah.
So for instance, John and Jonathan, our directors, are both D&D players. They're hugely passionate about this. But they have this magic trick where they create jokes that fly with D&D players. Because they're like, oh my God, that's hilarious because blah, blah, blah. But I don't know if everyone else will get it. And everyone else is going, oh my God, this is just really, really funny. But like, you didn't do anything for the D&D guys. Are they going to enjoy it? It hits on both levels. And I don't know how they do that. But I do know that our job as the actors was just to make it so inherently human that it hits on a universal level. It's very kind of Princess Bride in that way,
There were like moments, I remember we kind of talked about it, and you can actually kind of see who these people are playing these characters through the characters. Like the person playing Chris Pine's character just probably wanted to mess around, and playing those.
Yeah.
Person playing Michelle probably were just like, didn't really think too much about it. Maybe one of the earlier characters.
Wait, so all of the people just don't care?
And honestly, so anyone who has played D&D knows that so much of the experience is making up your own backstory, making decisions for your characters, and things that best suit who they are. I know by the time you're cast as a character, oftentimes the script is written and the look is already decided. But in the spirit of D&D, what's a decision that you made about the character in regards to the backstory or the look or their actions, something that is entirely you as if it would have been if you were playing D&D?
Something that's entirely me as if it would have been when we were playing D&D. I lent in very hard to the physical aspect of Zank. I think the idea of trying to do as many of the stunts as I could on my own, about really kind of sweating my way through this process. So every day that I wasn't on set, we were spending 2 to 4 hours with the stunt performers in the stunt facility, just kind of really going through these steps. Because John and Jonathan had talked about how they wanted the action sequences to feel a bit like old Jackie Chan movies. So you got long takes, you can see the actors actually doing things. Michelle Rodriguez's sequences are both thrilling and hilarious, which is a really hard note to hit. But again, it's because you can see her doing it. You can see how inventive the characters are with why they're doing damage. It's just not a bunch of CGI thrown at you. It's creative people being creative in the very real, tangible world. And so I lent into that super hard.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.